So I thought it good today to do a summary of the talks I've done this week. I look back and I've done quite a few talks, so I thought today, given it's the weekend, it would be good just to pull all those threads together. I would say that, and I think most people that have watched my talks know this, but I try my hardest to think differently about the wonderful world of geospatial. So sometimes that can seem controversial, but I'm really trying to challenge the norms. They're just opinions. I may be right, I may be wrong, I may be trying to push buttons to get people to think differently about things, but that's my overall goal of this stuff. So sometimes the industry's notorious for sort of throwing mud around. I try not to do that. I just try to give a different perspective. So for those that haven't watched my talks before, that's always my goal. So to this week, I think probably the biggest thing that came out of this week was really network effects. I've been kind of reading a lot about networks effect lately, and it made me kind of look back at the established industry that has been geospatial. That includes GIS as one of the core pieces of that. Network effects have been huge, and particular companies. I spoke about Esri specifically. The building of their network has been their biggest success, really. I mean, they've got great software, etc., great people work there, but they build a community and a moat around themselves because of that community. Now, it is true that, and if I broaden that, other geospatial companies have done something similar things, but not as successfully as Esri. I mentioned geography. That was very personal to me. I sense that the geography field has been somewhat taken over by the whole geospatial industry and location, which is part of me regrets. But remember, I'm a product A of geography, B of geospatial, so I'm really those two things together. So certainly not anti-GIS. It's just an observation of the geography has sort of become related to GIS and geospatial, and truly it's a much bigger subject than that. So I hope that the context is right for that opinion piece that I shared. But I do think that we've entered a stage now where we have this enormous opportunity for the geospatial industry. So geography being there are a lot of geographers that will be listening to this. But I do think we're at that stage in the evolution of technology where we go broad, and I think the established industry will continue to be relevant, will continue to build within the areas that they're focused in, particularly in the public sector infrastructure. But organisations that are new, that are coming in, there is a huge opportunity which the established industry have yet to build into, and I don't think the established industry will get there. Actually, I don't know that, but my opinion is, if you've got networks that sit inside of particular sectors, trying to go broader than that is going to be really, really difficult. So I do think there's a massive opportunity for folks that are looking at the space or are entering the space or establish themselves in the space to look at things differently, to learn from some of the established players and how they grew to be where they are today. But I think tomorrow is a big opportunity. So I mentioned maps in one of the talks. I think the established industry, again, is very fixated on maps, and that's kind of a lot of the branding has been around maps. But again, as we look forward and as we look at opportunities, we have to regard maps as really just an output. So the focus on where do we deliver a map to really only focuses on maybe 40% or less of people that are spatially aware, that love dealing with maps. We're leaving a whole wide area of the population that really don't want to go to a map, or if they do, they don't want to start there. So I think we have to revisit our relationship with maps, and that was another one of my talks. I think more broadly, the world that we're entering, I mean, the thing that excites me as a geographer and as a geospatial person and a geographer is how we can connect dots, and digitizing the real world is where we're going. So we're collecting data, we can produce digital twins of the real world, living digital twins where real-time data is coming in. So we can model things, we can provide simulations, we can track things, we can run what-if scenarios. It's a magical future that we're moving towards, and we're still at an early stage of that. Soon we'll be able to have goggles on, immerse ourselves in the world, combine the physical world with the digital world. I mean, there's just an amazing world ahead of us. So I think that when I think about where we are today in terms of like the efficiency thing, and love or hate this whole Doge movement, I've been reading some things about that of late, and you know, this strive towards efficiency. I'm not going to have to provide my opinion on Doge, but if efficiency is what we're looking to do, and the government's looking to do, geospatial and the evolution of geospatial truly is about evolution and innovation. That really fits in line with a lot of the things that maybe is happening in today, and will certainly be happening tomorrow. So, you know, it's an exciting time. I will finish on AI. I think AI is one of the key pieces that is driving this revolution, or evil, if you want to call it revolution or evolution of geospatial. And in my view, I love the fact that people are going down the machine learning path and automating processes. Certainly geospatial analysts and GIS analysts will be looking at that and concerned about their jobs. Are they right or wrong? It's for another day to talk about. But to me, generative AI is the big one. Generative AI to me is the killer that will bring geospatial to a much broader audience. It's going to move from being a niche technology, which it is today, the established order are in specific niches, to a much broader world. And I think the new players coming in are going to be the guys that are going to actually break that nut and open that stuff up. And I think generative AI is going to be the real key that will do that. So anyway, there's my summary of the my week's talks and some of my thinking in one talk. A little bit longer than I normally like to do. I do publish a newsletter. I try to do it weekly. It's usually on a Sunday. So I try and combine this, and I'll try and provide context to some of these talks, because usually when I have an idea for a talk, it's based on an article I've read. And I quite often share those articles in that newsletter with innovators in the space, and just some really interesting things that are happening. So if you really want to stay connected, you want to join my network, there's a network effect thing, join my community, because there's a whole load of us who are trying to think differently and approach this from a slightly different angle, learning what we came from the past. Sign up for the newsletter. But for today, thanks for listening and enjoy your weekend.